Okay, if I can have everyone's attention, please. In 2014, we come up with the idea of, I think, a long overdue idea of initiating this year a American Backgammon Hall of Fame to recognize those individuals over the 40 or 50-year history of modern backgammon in the United States who've made significant contributions to the game by virtue of their play, contributions of service in various fashions. We consider directors and publishers and authors. It's quite a collection of people. There's 13 inductees tonight. There were 36 people on the ballot, and every one of those probably eventually deserved to be in the Hall of Fame. But it's certainly, in my estimation, a distinct privilege to be able to recognize 13 people in this inaugural year of the Hall of Fame. And I think that by virtue of that first year election is just a true honor and recognition of their contributions to the game. In any endeavor in life, be it personal or corporate or an organization such as this, it's hard to define who you are or where you're going without knowing where you've been and where you came from. So I think it's so important to recognize in a historical sense these players, and many of them are still active today, but they've been such contributors over the last decades. We established a committee of distinguished individuals in the community of long tenure and service to select nominees for a ballot and ultimately to vote for these nominees. I asked, and he graciously accepted the chairmanship of this committee, Mr. Patrick Gibson, one of the most distinguished directors in the community. And I want to let Patrick take a few minutes here to explain a bit about the selection process and exactly how it came to be 13 inductees tonight. Patrick.
He's trying to pass the blame. It's not fair. I was honored. I am real busy with the USBGF and have been on the board of directors from the beginning, and I've been real busy, and I wasn't ready to accept any new jobs, but when Bill offered the Hall of Fame job, I was very touched. He allowed me to pick four other members. We decided we have a 5-member committee, but we needed committee members who were well experienced, long tenure in the backgammon community, and I was happy to get Joe Russell to be on that committee, Jeremy Begay, Dennis Culpepper, and Doug Mayfield, the 5 of us. We had some other committee members that we tried to put together initially, but then we decided the committee itself has to recuse itself from being on the ballot. So we said these other small group of players, we said they should probably be on the ballot. And if you're on the ballot, you can't be the people who build the ballot. So neither Joe or Doug or Dennis or myself are on that ballot. And we decided to name it the American Backgammon Hall of Fame. Basically, the criteria we dealt with, that we came up with, was important contributions and accomplishments and achievements relating to the game of backgammon in the United States, whether that's success over the board, as well as comportment, reputation within the backgammon community. It should be difficult to be accepted, to be selected, an exceptional body of work over a significant period of time. So you're not going to have a rising star there yet, somebody who's been around a handful of years and done a great job and probably will get in the Hall of Fame, but not in this first class and probably not in the first few years. We're looking for a body of work to contribute to backgammon in the United States of America. Our initial ballot, we had 5 members, and each of them submitted 15 names anonymously to build a list to start with. Those 15 ended up being 50 players, or 50 people, 50 personalities. 14 of those names, there aren't probably 3, maybe 4 of you in this room who ever heard of them. People who had some effect on backgammon in the United States, but none of you would have ever heard of them, and we will consider them in future years, possibly from a category called historical contributors, or something like that, and we haven't decided to do that. But that 50 names then got chopped down to 36 names. We wanted a group of electors who were experienced in the backgammon community over a period of years. So each of the five of us selected two other people to invite to become electors, people with long tenure in the backgammon community. And then on top of that, we put in the remainder of the board of directors. So we ended up with 26 electors, 26 people who voted. In future years, the people who are in this inductee class and in future classes will also become voters. So we have a knowledgeable voting group. And this is very similar to what's done in a lot of the other halls of fame, whether that be baseball or cribbage or backgammon, or chess or any of the other games. We thought, since the Backgammon Hall of Fame has not been done before, and it's been a long time overdue in our opinion, we wanted a good solid class, probably 2 or 3 times the size of what it might be in future years. And we wanted those names to be, in our opinion, and that's only our opinion, unassailable. In other words, when we give you those names, you're going to say, yeah, that makes sense, that guy should be there, or that lady should be there. We wanted between 10 and 15, we got 13. In future years, we're thinking that we'll probably recommend between 4 and 6 players, and no guarantee that you'll get 4 to 6 players. And everybody who didn't get on this year, who had like 20% of the votes, they'll be a nominee for next year automatically. Okay, that's it, Bill.
Thank you, Patrick. And now it's going to be the distinct honor of myself and Patrick to announce the inaugural year inductees of the American Backgammon Hall of Fame.
I'll find it.
Of our 13 inductees, 10 are living, 3 are deceased. Would have been fitting that they were still alive. The first person I want to recognize tonight, I'll read briefly from part of our magazine panels is Mr. Oswald Jacobi. One of the prominent gamesmen of the 20th century, Oswald Jacobi was regarded both as a leading backgammon player and co-author of the first analytic book on backgammon. He's also a member of the American Contract Bridge League Hall of Fame. He won the Backgammon World Championship in 1972 in Las Vegas. He was champion with Barclay Cook, Paul Mcgrill, and Lee Ganud of the 1979 ITT Telecom USA versus Europe match. He's the author of the Backgammon book with John Crawford. And of course, he's the namesake of the Jacobi rule, which we're all familiar with. Members of Mr. Jacobi's family could not be present tonight, but they asked me to read a statement. And this is from his grandson, Jim Jacobi. Thanks for informing us of this award. On behalf of my late grandfather, my late grandmother, my late father, as well as the other surviving members of the Jacobi family, I want to thank you and the U.S. Backgammon Federation for recognizing my grandfather, Oswald Jacobi, with his induction into the Hall of Fame. While the backbone of my grandfather's interest in games revolved around cards, his love of the fast-paced action and roll-of-the-dice excitement at the backgammon table was a core part of his DNA. I was fortunate to learn the game from him. Some of this is touching, man. When I was only 8 years old, and loved getting to play at Pawpaw's house as a child. His promotion of the game through books as well as board games, the cover of one I was fortunate enough to grace when I was 10 years old, was due to his love of the game and the feeling that it spanned generations. I know he would be proud and honored to be inducted, and it's fitting that he is in the inaugural class. My grandfather played games against hundreds of opponents over the years, and whether he won or lost, and he won most of the time. Everyone usually left the table with a smile on their face for having met and spent time with Ozzy. He was a numbers savant, and they broke the mold when he landed on this earth. I miss him, and I still have a picture of him in my office at home in his head of curly white hair. This honor brings back a lot of fond memories. That's Mr. Jim Jacobi. The Jacobi family has asked a fellow Dallasite, Mr. Malcolm Davis, to accept the award on Oswald Jacobi's behalf. Malcolm. Any of you like to say a word or two on? You're welcome to.
I was honored to know Oswald Jacobi very well. He was a great man. And something I bet nobody in this room really knows, there's more than one Jacobi rule. There are 3 Jacobi rules that I know of. One was the Mary Zeta Jacobi rule, and that was you shouldn't double your opponent until you've made a point in your home board. The other rule was a Jim Jacobi rule, who was the father of Jim's grandson, or Oswald's grandson. And that was, in a money session, if it's the last game, you can't quit unless the cube has been accepted. You can't pass the 1 cube and end the session. Anyway, I'm honored to accept this for Oswald Jacobi.
Our next inductee is Michael Stankiewicz. Most of us don't, hang on, Mike, hang on a second. Most of us don't say his last name very often, we just call him Sank. And as you'll see in the magazine, there's a really nice little clip on each person. Mike Stankiewicz, New York, master chess player, Scrabble legend, backgammon champion, and mainstay of the New York game scene for 4 decades. Mike Stankiewicz raised the level of backgammon play since the early 80s and his insightful analysis of the game. He is one of only 6 players to have been voted onto every Giants backgammon listing since its inception. Notable awards and accomplishments: voted to the 32 Giants of backgammon 11 consecutive times, including once as number 1, twice as number 2, in a 10-year span in the top 10. Author of articles in Backgammon Times and Backgammon Galore. He's full of stories. I got to hear some of them this weekend, and we're proud to induct Mike into our American Backgammon Hall of Fame. Turn around so we can take your picture.
Thank you so much. Right here, sir. Say a word if you'd like.
You're not required to.
Never thought I'd be here, to be honest. If you knew where I started, this is the least likely place to be. But it's nice being here anyway, and I'm very pleased to receive this. Thank you very much.
Our next inductee is a legend in the game. He's regarded as the consummate gentleman. He's Knack Ballard of San Francisco, California. He too is one of only 6 players to have been voted onto every Giants backgammon listing since its inception. He has also distinguished himself at games of Scrabble, Go, and Color Lines. He's voted to the 32 Giants 11 consecutive times, including 3 successive times as number 1, twice as number 2, and a 16-year span in the top 10. Won the 82 World Professional Championship in Las Vegas, voted number 1 player in the world at the U.S. Invitational in Washington, D.C. in 1984. He's won numerous prestigious Pro-Am doubles championships, 3 times in 2001 with Harvey Huey, 2003 and 2004 with Wayne McClintock, and co-authored the spectacular book Backgammon Openings with Paul Weaver. Unfortunately, Knack is not able to be with us tonight, but accepting on his behalf is Mr. Michael Stankiewicz. Identical twins. I like it.
Right here, please. Oh, there you are. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Again, if you'd like to say anything, you're welcome to do.
You can pick on him, he's not here.
Well, he's not dead.
No, he's not.
With, Mac hasn't played for a while, and that's a shame because he's great. But it's harder to accept for him than for me. I don't know why. He's probably the best games player I've ever encountered. He's kind of a genius, and he's very quirky, but everything he ever did in backgammon was first rate. And hopefully he'll start playing again at some point.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes in a long relationship, you have a bad period of time with something, and you need some distance away from it. And I think he's in that period, and eventually he'll come back to the game. But I always enjoyed playing with him. The good thing about it was I knew I was in the money because it was usually a finals. The bad thing was that I was usually second. So I think he'll be very pleased with this. Thanks.
All right, here's one. I think that so far we are unassailable. These people definitely belong in, and this next guy definitely belongs in. And he's here with us, we're happy to say. Bill Davis from Chicago, Illinois. Never had a sense of fashion. Actually, he's been our fashion promoter among the directors, because you wear a tie at his tournament, you get extra chances. Bill Davis is widely respected for his contributions, innovations, and promotion of the game. He's the founder of the American Backgammon Tour, has directed the Chicago Bar Club since 1983, directed the Midwest Backgammon Championships from '84 to 2009, and has directed the Central States Invitational since 2010. But the most important thing, and all these things are important, the most important thing he ever did for backgammon was putting out Chicago Point. But I mean, how did the rest of us around the world get caught up, you know, with what was going on? I mean, I love those. He has published the Chicago Point newsletter, and I don't know how many years, but it's got to be something like 30.
It's the Chicago Point about 20,
Yeah.
26.
Yeah,
something like
yeah,
that.
awesome. And I have almost all those issues home, and I've read through them. And he's now the Facebook guru. You know, he's moved over to Facebook to become modern times, and now we get backgammon updates on Facebook from people, from pictures, from tournaments that are in place. His Facebook page reaches thousands of backgammon players around the world. Notable achievements and accomplishments, if those weren't enough. Founder and director of the American Backgammon Tour. Number 15 all-time leader in the American Backgammon Tour in career points with 5 career ABT victories. Yeah. Number 2 all-time points leader, Chicago Backgammon. That's hard to believe. Nobody beats me in LA. How can anybody beat you in Chicago?
We got Taki in Chicago.
Yeah, it's true. 1974 to 2014. And the winner of the 2012 Chicago Open. I think that's the last item I have on here. So congratulations, Bill. We're happy to induct you into our first class.
Thank you very much. Well, thank you, everyone. I had to come in costume because that's what we did at our tournaments. Any of you came to any of our events, we would dress gangsters and Mardi Gras and, hippies, Egyptian. We had a lot of fun stuff. And I think that perhaps Bill and his crew should dress in the Texas garb next year. What do you guys think? Maybe put a Texas cap on or a coonskin cap because you're right next to the Alamo. Anyway, it's been a lot of fun. I hope you guys have enjoyed what I've done, but you know what? I've enjoyed what I've done. I've just had a blast. And I thank you all very much. And there's so many people. I do want to thank Carol. She's been so helpful to me over the years with me. So I want to tell her that she's been so supportive. But there's been so many other people. And thanks a lot. I really appreciate it.
All right, who's next? I'm going to do this one. This page we're hitting here.
Okay, the next inductee is a legend of sorts in the game who hasn't played that much in the last few years, and consequently, I've never really known the guy much until the last couple of years, but I found him to be a charming and entertaining individual. Everyone loves him. Kent Golding, Georgetown, Maryland. An innovative force in the game, Kent Golding is esteemed as a backgammon player, publisher, director, organizer, witty auctioneer, and raconteur extraordinaire. He introduced the first U.S. backgammon rating system, and as a director of the World Cup, he instituted the use of clocks in recorded matches. He's the winner of the Tournament of Champions in Paradise Island, Bahamas, 1978, publisher of Backgammon with the Champions, 12 issues of annotated matches, 81-82, and Inside Backgammon Magazine with Bill Roberti, 1991-1998. Organizer-director with Bill Roberti of the World Cup, 1984 through 1998. He was voted to the 32 Giants of Backgammon 6 consecutive times from its inception. Many other honors and awards, that's just a few of them. Kent Golding is an inductee in 2015. You're welcome to say a few words if you'd like.
How long can you all stay awake?
If you're up here, probably.
I set out, I love backgammon when I first learned how to play in the 1970s. And backgammon was really, in a lot of ways, in its infancy. The literature was sparse and not as good as it should be. The conditions, a lot of tournaments weren't the way I thought they should be. Just all manner of things that I saw. I loved the game, I liked the game, but everything I saw, I thought, they could do this differently and they could do this better. And it will be more fun if we did it differently and if we did it better. And even though there were great tournaments back in the 1970s, I set about to, if something's got to be done right, do it yourself. So as I gained skills in the game, and as I toured the world and played in more tournaments and saw it was out there, that, well, what if we did this? And what if we did that? And with Kit Woolsey, I talked about, what about recording games so people can actually look at games people play? After 40 years of sort of getting used to it, or 35 years of getting used to it, it seems secondary. When I was learning to play, you could not look at other players' games. Sometimes it was even hard at tournaments to watch other players play because they'd shoo you away. You're barred, you can't watch. So, it bugged me. So this is not the way it should be. So I started, with help from Kit, learning how to, shorthands to record matches and then look at them and, well, so long as we're doing that, Why don't we publish and share? It's something I wanted to have when I was learning. It was not available to me. I had to learn the hard way, had to figure a lot of it out myself. But let's share what the good players are doing. So I put together Backgammon with the Champions, and for a couple of years, it was a lot of fun, it was a lot of work, but it educated a lot of people. It educated me too, but it educated the backgammon community. I said, okay, I've done this, let's move on and do something else and see if the backgammon community keeps up. And by and large, they certainly did, although maybe it took a little while to keep going. The streaming of matches, the recording of matches, how you cannot mention Hal Heinrich for all the work he did archiving once matches started being recording is beyond me. I mean, I could go on for hours about the last 40 years, 35 to 40 years, about one step at a time, the ratings list. You know, chess had ratings. At the DuPont Circle Club in Washington, D.C., where I learned to play, and within a few years, of course, bought the place, redesigned it, and did it the way it was supposed to be. You tell them I didn't do that, Karen, because I did. You know, sitting around before it really got going with Kit Woolsey, and Kit says, you know, we could actually have a tournament. Well, a backgammon tournament? Yeah, we could have a tournament. So we ran a tournament. And then every Monday night for the next, I don't know how many years, we ran a tournament, and we did it right. During those tournaments, we started, you know, there's chess and bridge, master points, ratings. Let's rate our tournaments. Let's have master points that are, we don't like master points, bridge players. Let's do ratings like chess players. So we put together a rating system, and Kit was working for the government. He had access to computers. Boom, we had a little rating system at the DuPont Circle Club. Years later, I'm out in the real world playing backgammon. Yeah, there's master points, but you know, there's like an attendance award. I never liked master points. Let's have ratings. I get together with Bill Roberti, who was a fairly clever individual and an extraordinarily organized person. I look around the backgammon community and find me organized people. You know, they're few and far between, certainly among players. I mean, Bill Roberti is like, you know, completely anal. I mean, he just has everything lined up exactly, and he's very bright. So, okay, if we can build a rating system, let's make it big and worldwide. But I need the software. So Bill built all the software. It was the KG rating system. I did gobs of work on it. Of course, I hired a smart person to write the formula, and then I hired a smarter person to build the database, and that was Bill Roberti. But we did that. That came and went. Backgammon with the Champions came and went. We need a magazine. Okay, so let's do Inside Backgammon, name brilliantly stolen from Inside Chess. And for 8 years, Bill and I did what a backgammon magazine should look like, and our feeble little heads. And we had a great time with it. And tournaments along the way. In 1984, I was tired of tournaments always being in gambling communities. I wanted backgammon to be a civilized game. I wanted to get backgammon out of the casino. Not that I minded being in casinos and being a degenerate. That was great fun. Watching some of the other backgammon degenerates in the casino was even greater fun. There were some negatives to traveling the world playing, one of which was rooming with Michael Stankiewicz, who, in addition to all his other honors, should be in the Snoring Hall of Fame. I mean, I eventually started buying a suite to room with him just so I could put him out in the lobby and not hear him too badly, you know. We don't have too many hours for all this. It goes just on and on. Everything I did was partly to entertain myself and partly to show how it could be done or should be done so that you all, following in my footsteps, could do it even better. Thank you very much. I'm really, really honored.
I just wanted to say one word. Isn't it so great? And I wish they'd make more tournaments, but to have here tonight and this weekend and playing in this tournament, people like Kent Goulding and Mike Stankiewicz. So thank y'all for being here and playing in this tournament.
There are ladies in backgammon, not enough of them, but there are ladies in backgammon, and we're happy to have in our first inductees Hall of Fame, Carol Joy Cole. widely regarded as the queen of backgammon in the United States, Carol Joy Cole, CJC, is revered and beloved by all. She founded the Flint Area Backgammon Club in 1978, publishing the Flint Area Backgammon News. She has directed the Michigan Summer Championships and the Fleetwood Underwood Charity Tournament since 1982, and served on the staff of numerous tournaments around the country and out of the country. She's played a pivotal role in maintaining U.S. backgammon tournament events and results on the Chicago Point website since 1993. And anybody who can get all those little circumflexes and curlicues and stuff and all the names from the foreign, that's the lady. She makes that happen. And she created and maintains the Giants, with Yamin, but they create the Giants of Backgammon website and deal with that every 2 years. Notable awards and accomplishments. U.S. Open Backgammon Champion, 2009, Washington, D.C. The Paul Dingwall Amateur Championship, just at my tournament in December in Los Angeles. The finalist in the inaugural U.S. BGF National Championship in 2011. And she was the last person in the side pool, so it was a big payout. Big payout. I'm not telling the IRS, I promise. I have been reading the Flint Area Backgammon News, as I'm sure most of you have, for many, many years. I love it. And we couldn't do this without her. And I have never seen her lose her cool, raise her voice. Sometimes you can't even hear her, she's so quiet. Anyway, welcome to the Backgammon Hall of Fame, Carol. Get out the way, woman. Yes, please.
All right. Thank you all for this wonderful surprise. And I love you all for taking this journey with me.
I can tell you had to be recused and thrown off the committee.
Next person, as all of these people are, is one of the great names in backgammon in the United States, certainly one of the greatest players. I've been fortunate over the last few years since I got into playing ABT events and so forth to come to know him well, consider him a very good friend and a mentor of sorts. Neil Kazaros, Chicago, Illinois. Noted for his brilliant analytical mind, Neil Kazaros is famous for inventing Neil's numbers, a shorthand method of calculating match equities over the board, and co-author of the Rockwell-Kazaros match equity table. He's one of only 6 players to have been voted onto every Giants of Backgammon listing since its inception. He's voted to those 32 Giants 11 consecutive times, including 10 consecutive top 10 ratings since 1995. Since 2005, he's been in the top 5 in each poll. The #1 all-time leader on the American Backgammon Tour in numerous categories, including career points, #1 for the year 6 times, top 3 8 times, 17 career tournament victories, and much more. He was the inaugural U.S. Backgammon National Championship winner in 2011. And he's won more things than I could ever begin to address. Our newest inductee into the American Backgammon Hall of Fame, Neil Kazaros.
Right here, please. Ready? 1, 2, 3, more. Okay. All right, thank you.
Okay, you'd like to say a word, Neil?
I want to thank my peers here among us and the USBGF for this great honor. And I want to thank my grandmother for teaching me this game over 40 years ago. I never imagined it would come to this. And before I stop, I want to say one thing to everybody here, to the players and to the directors. As this game becomes more and more of a science, we all have to do what we need to do to keep this game fun for everybody.
If we'd gone alphabetically, this guy would be last. We didn't, obviously. Our next inductee to the American Backgammon Hall of Fame taught me a lot about backgammon because he and Hal Heinrich put together Match Quiz. That thing, I studied it at lunch. I brought my lunch to work. I would sit at lunch and I would play that thing out, and I would, every time he kept asking that question, are you doubling or are you not doubling? Before you did anything else, every move, and I had to answer it yes or no before I could get to the next piece. And then you'd pick your answer, yes or no, and then he'd go on and he'd explain it. It was annotated matches with Kit's obviously really skilled analysis in there. Improved my game in a like a 2-year period. I was playing where I belonged in the championship, but before that I did not belong in the championship. He's been around forever. This is Kit Woolsey of San Francisco, California. Noted bridge and backgammon author. Kit Woolsey is one of backgammon's leading experts on the doubling cube and tournament play. Kit has been on the vanguard of computer revolution since his own programs for analysis in the early 1980s, running the first internet backgammon server, Fibs, created by Andreas Schneider. He is editor of the first online backgammon magazine, Gammon Online, 53 issues, on the Gammon U website. He is one of only 6 players, again, we're getting all 6 of those players, I think, to have been voted onto the every Giants of backgammon listing since its inception. He was inducted into the American Contract Bridge League Hall of Fame, American Contract Bridge, ACBL, in 2005, so we have 2 of those. That would be Oswald Jacobi and Kit. Notable awards: voted the 32 Giants list 11 consecutive times, winner of the American Backgammon Pro-Am Championship 2005 with Tammy Jones, author of, and I've read all these books multiple times, I wish I could learn it, How to Play Tournament Backgammon, New Ideas in Backgammon, Hal Heinrich, Backgammon Encyclopedia Volume 1, Understanding Backgammon 2003 with Tammy Jones, 52 Great Backgammon Tips 2007 with Patty Beatles, and Match Quiz Computer Software with Hal Heinrich, among other works. Our next inductee to the Hall of Fame, Mr. Kit Woolsey. Some comments.
I just wanted to thank everybody, and the most important thing, I've played backgammon for quite some time, and just everybody remember, despite all the things that can happen, all the double sixes and the last rolls and all that, it's a great game, and don't anybody forget it.
The next person I've been fortunate to know, not nearly as well as I'd like to know, perhaps, but I've known him for 40 years through the Bible of backgammon, as far as I'm concerned. That's from Las Vegas, Nevada now, Paul Mcgrill. He's the author of the Bible of Backgammon. The name Paul Mcgrill has been synonymous with backgammon since the publication of his groundbreaking book, Backgammon, in 1976, still viewed as backgammon's leading text. The original backgammon celebrity, he helped popularize the game. The World Championship in 1978 in the Bahamas. He's voted to the 32 Giants of Backgammon list 8 consecutive times from its inception. And again, his proudest and most notable achievement, backgammon. except Paul unfortunately could not be with us tonight. He's asked to accept on his behalf Mr. Mike Sabatini. Congratulations. Thanks. Just turn around here toward the camera. Right here, please. Right here. Right here, please.
To me, Paul Mcgrill means backgammon. Before I ever played, I heard his name. I saw it in the bookstore. I started playing with my roommate, who beat me all the time. I bought his book, then that changed. Anyway, he's not here tonight. Can I tell you a secret? Can you keep a secret where he is? Can you keep a secret? Well, so can I, so I'm not going to tell you. But I can tell you he's teaching somebody right now, and that's why he couldn't make it. He would have wanted to make it, but he couldn't. He has a lot of achievements because he's very old. He started playing in the 60s, and he did 4 major things for backgammon to help promote backgammon. He wrote an article for the New York Times about backgammon. He traveled the world and did more than 100 interviews promoting backgammon. We all know that he's a little crazy and quirky. He's, to me, the best commenter when people are playing backgammon by far. He's by far the best teacher. He's a good human being. And he won the world championship in 1978. And I always sort of tease him and tell him that he didn't do it. And he always forgets, like that joke. I said, you never won it. And he gets all upset about it. And I play the same trick on him a few months later. Well, you never won it. He goes, yes, I did, yes, I did. Of course, I know he won it. He also, in 1978, I think it was 78, maybe I'm wrong about the dates, but they had a very famous 65-point match. Paul Mcgrill had Roger Lowe, and he played Joe Dweck and Kumar Moudakis. And this really popularized backgammon. It was on the front page. It was in Greece. I think it was, is that where it took place? Greece? Anyway, it was on the front page of the newspaper every single day. They had hundreds of reporters there. And he did more to popularize backgammon. And he made these tournaments possible because it became so popular because of him. To watch him give an interview or become so animated, he gets so excited when he's watching a match and commenting on it. He goes, he hit a shot! He hit the shot! And you start getting enthused about it too. I'd actually like to, he doesn't know this, but I'm going to call him now. I just said, I'm going to call him now, and everybody says, X, we love you and we miss you. If I can, I don't know if he'll answer the phone. If he doesn't, we'll leave it on his machine, which is not quite as good. Oh, he started annotation. He also was the first one to do rollouts.
Justified at the trial, maybe.
Yes. Let's see if we can. Shh. Was this that microphone? If he doesn't answer, we'll just leave it on his machine.
Yes, hello.
Yeah, Paul, I have a couple friends that just want to say hello to you.
Hey, Paul, congratulations.
We wish you were here, but we realize every man has to work, okay? Paul, you want to say anything to anybody? I deserve it. No, go ahead.
Okay.
They're all listening.
No,
You're on the spot.
I'm on the spot. Oh,
Everybody's
Hi,
listening. Now. There's a
everybody.
room full of people.
I I don't know who I'm talking to, but hi everybody.
No, everybody,
You're honest.
I'm accepting the award for you,
Okay, I know you are.
but I'm in front of everybody. It's a little embarrassing if you don't say anything.
Oh, okay. Well, tell everybody, thank them, and I'm excited to be inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Okay.
Hall of whatever.
Okay, that's enough of you. Back to me. All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Another person, and all of these people are big contributors to backgammon, no question. Another person who's contributed a lot to backgammon, many, many books, analysis, matches to watch, two-time world champion, Bill Roberti from Boston, Massachusetts. A gifted and prolific author, publisher, and promoter, director, widely respected for his intelligence and insight. Bill Roberti is a two-time world champion. He's one of only six, he must be the sixth one. The one of only 6 players to have been voted in every Giants of Backgammon listing since its inception. Notable awards and accomplishments: World Champions, 83 and 87, Monte Carlo. Voted to the 32 champions, or Giants of Backgammon, 11 consecutive times. Author of Advanced Backgammon Volumes 1 and 2, 1991. Backgammon for Winners, 1993. Backgammon for Serious Players, 1997. 501 Essential Backgammon Problems, sitting next to my commode. In case I need to sit very long. Still. That's it. And Modern Backgammon, 2001. Publisher of Inside Backgammon Magazine with Kent Goulding, 91 through 98. Organizer-director with Kent Goulding of the World Cup, known as the U.S. Invitational in its early years, from 84 to 1998. Our latest inductee to the initial Backgammon Hall of Fame, Bill Roberti, who cannot be here. He got snowed in when his flight was all settled up. And to accept in his honor is Mr. Kent Goulding. Picture first, sorry. Sorry, boss.
I'll look studious like Bill, and no one will know the difference.
But you gotta not smile.
One thing about Bill, like our dear friend X22, got seduced by dark forces, which took him away from backgammon for a while. Fortunately, Bill ran out of, after Volume 7 of Harrington on Hold'em, he ran out of poker to write about, and he has been working hard on his backgammon game. His first and truest love, even surpassing chess in his younger years, has always been backgammon. Bill really likes to play a lot. He was involved with me in so many ways, in support roles and assistance, but his true passion is playing. We did the World Cups together. Bill said, I'll do all the work you want, I'll help organize, I'll help advertise, but when game time comes, I'm playing and I'm not paying any attention to any problems you might have. And he didn't tell me to tell you this, but I know this because I talk to the guy, 2 or 3 times a week, every week. He's pretty much done with his poker writing, which is what he's been doing for the last 10 years. He is studying backgammon, and he has every intention to be very much back in the fold. So on his behalf, I really want to thank you for the honor you've bestowed on him, and I believe he's going to do it all again, so he'll be back soon. Thank you.
Okay, coming down the home stretch here, but certainly no lesser characters remain. The next inductee, and again, is a gentleman that I only had the pleasure of meeting a few times, but know by his work and reputation. And I've never heard anybody speak badly. Never. Unfortunately, he left us too soon. Next nominee of the inaugural Backgammon Hall of Fame, deservedly so, Walter Trice. Boston, Massachusetts. Backgammon's preeminent mathematical theorist. Walter Trice is known for development of the effective pip count in his best-selling book, Backgammon Boot Camp. He's voted to the 32 Giants of Backgammon 5 times. He's number 14 all-time leader on the American Backgammon Tour in career points, tied for number 6 all-time with 6 career ABT victories, including the Las Vegas Open in November 2004. Again, he's author of Backgammon Boot Camp and Can a Fish Taste Twice as Good with Jake Jacobs. We're very honored tonight to have Walter's brother Jim to accept on his behalf.
I know Walter would just love this. We miss him very much. The family also, he has 3 brothers, 3 sisters, and left behind a wife, and we are very honored that you would honor him this way. Thank you very much.
One of the most fun books to read in backgammon was Backgammon, the Cruelest Game. And even though it's been proven that some of the plays weren't the best play now that XG says so, back in the time, if you watched him play and heard about his results, you were impressed. Our next inductee, the American Backgammon Hall of Fame, is Barclay Cook. He passed away, he was born in 1912, passed away in 1981, Englewood, New Jersey. Named by Sports Illustrated as the father of modern backgammon, Barclay Cook was renowned for his fairness and generosity and was eulogized by Les Levy as perhaps backgammon's most gracious ambassador and eloquent spokesman. He used baseball analogies all the time, and I wasn't a real big baseball fan, so I didn't always get those. But he had great stories of that. One of the first tournaments, big tournaments I ever went to was one in LA that Sid Jackson put on, and Barclay Cook came there and played and lost a gammon 8 cube in match number 1 for the match. Real nice guy. Notable awards and accomplishments. Champion with his son Walt, the 1973 British American Cup. Champion with Oswald Jacobi, Paul Mcgrill, and Lee Gadoud, 1979, the ITT Telecom USA Europe match. 6-time champion of the Vitor Cup, which I run in September, 1963, 66, 74, 79, 80, 81. Author of Backgammon, the Cruelest Game, 1974, and John Bradshaw, Paradoxes and Probabilities, 1978, and Championship Backgammon, which was the first time we ever had duplicate backgammon that was annotated. They played a match. He and his son represented the U.S. Joe Dweck and Philip Martin played for the UK team, and they played in different rooms, and you know, the right-hand player got the same dice that the right-hand, sorry. I got, if I was playing with Ray, I got the same dice that Ray played, but Ray was on the other side of the table. Again? No, we won doubles in Vegas. Anyway, our next inductee to the Backgammon Hall of Fame, Barclay Cook. We were unable to get anybody from the family, actually to reach anybody from the family to get here. So we'll find a way to get this to them and to get to the family. And Barclay Cook was an amazing guy.
I pulled rank.
Yes, you did.
My position in the USBGF and the co-tournament director of this tournament, and a fellow Texan. to make this presentation. Malcolm Davis, Dallas, Texas. The epitome of a gracious gentleman. Malcolm Davis, he is the sixth, Patrick, is one of only 6 players to have been voted to every Giants of Backgammon listing since its inception. One of the first to videotape and analyze his matches, he has been a consistent winner of championship and Masters jackpot events. He won the World Cup in 1996 and the Williams Island Pro-Am with Jim Scott in 1986. He defeated IBM's TD Gammon program in 1997 and 1998. He's voted to the 32 Giants of Backgammon again, 11 consecutive times. That's every time. The number 3 all-time leader on the American Backgammon Tour in career points. Number 2 all-time with 9 career ABT tournament victories, and was number 1 in the ABT rankings in 2003. From 1975 to 2014, he's won or finished second in 75 major events. My great pleasure, Mr. Malcolm Davis. Say a couple words.
You're allowed to say a couple words, or more than that.
Well, I'd like to thank the SBGF and my peers, as Neil said, for this is a real honor for me. And I might share something. In 1974, fall of 1974, I played my first backgammon game with Oswald Jacobi. I didn't even know it was a board game. I thought it was a card game. And honestly, sometimes I think maybe I still don't, but anyway, the game was very hard for me. So I thought, well, my background was a poker player. I said, I'll play this game and learn how to play, and then I'll quit. I can't afford to quit till I learn how to play, because that'd be admitting that I couldn't learn to play. I'm still trying to learn to play. Thank you.
Give me this. We thank everybody for joining us tonight to honor these inductees into the Hall of Fame. I think everyone will concur that they're all most deserving. There's probably others that are deserving, and I'm confident that they'll enter into the Hall of Fame in the future. One plug, the new Primetime Backgammon magazine is now for sale. It includes 20 pages of articles on the Hall of Fame, the selection process, the inductees, the Hall of Fame in the future. I think it's going to be a great keepsake edition. I'm going to put it in my collection for sure. So we'll break those open tonight. Again, thank everyone. It's a great dinner, a great occasion. Now we got to get back to some backgammon.